moving over to some scores and highlights now. I'll just kind of kick it off first. I kind of stuck with some of these Central Illinois, like 1A, 2A programs. But Teutopolis, they beat Farina South Central 12-2 last week. Mick Niebrugge went 2 for 4 with a homer, 5 RBIs, and a run scored. And then over for Sherrard, Aiden Ternes, he struck out 12, allowed 2 hits and 5.2 innings pitched in their 10-3 win over Orion. For Dunlap in their 10-0 win over Canton, Owen Schisler threw a complete game, shut out in 5 innings with 9 strikeouts. And then this is a smaller school, but kind of up north. Obviously, right on the border, Richard Carlson, a 2027 from South Beloit, struck out 21 in a complete game shutout in their 7-over win over Lincoln Academy. Like that's ridiculous. And then Tanner Thomas down at Arcola went 4 for 4 with 2 homers, 3 runs scored, and 6 RBIs in their 9-2 win over Neoga. And then Jerry Vasek struck out 15 batters in 5 innings pitched in Westmont's 10-0 win. So that's what I got on some scores and highlights from last week. But Drew, what do you got?
Yeah, love it. Love hearing Tanner Thomas's name. He's a really impressive two-way prospect down there. So there are a couple things that stuck out to me last week, and I'm not going to mention all of them, but a couple of the ones that really stood out was Marist beat Maine South 6-2, and I had mentioned Marist previously because of a huge win. They kind of ended Naz's long win streak, and it came at the hands of Colin Lawler, a freshman lefty. Well, he did it once again, and that's what, at least for me, like, looking for the consistent performances, a guy that's the same guy every time out. It's great to be a flash in the pan and have one good outing and then a couple bad and then, another good outing. But it seems like Lawler's done nothing but throw well since he's been getting varsity innings. So in that 6-2 win over Maine South, he went 4 1/3 scoreless innings. He struck out 3 and he didn't walk anybody. One of the reasons I chose this one was we just rolled out our 2028 rankings. We took it from 5 to 10 prospects. We kept it extremely small. Lawler's right there. He's a guy that we had talked about. He's a guy that we saw in the winter throw a bullpen. We need to go see him now this spring. We're going to continue to update this list, and it'll continue to lengthen and expand as we go here through this 2028's journey through high school. But he is a guy that's certainly high on the list. Long levers, just a lefty you can dream on. So regardless, the fact that he's not on the rankings right now really doesn't matter. He's a guy that's super high on our list and a guy we're going to be out to see. Another game that kind of caught my eye down in your area there, Gavin and Dane, was Tremont. And just Tremont's team as a whole, they've really caught my eye. They're playing a lot better baseball, it seems like. They knocked off Leroy last week 2-1. They've got 11 wins in a row now. 14 of their last 15 they've won. Andrew Dawson was kind of the story of that game. He's a 2026. It was up to 91.9 this winter for us. Has shown high level of competitiveness on the mound as well. But he struck out 10 in 4 innings. Just a name to know. They're a 2026 with a strong arm out of Tremont, uncommitted. And then Lake Park. They're just always a team that is going to win 20-plus games every year. They're going to play good baseball. They're going to be a team you don't want to see in the playoffs because they're not going to beat themselves. They beat St. Charles East last week 11-10 in extra innings. But what caught my eye going through kind of our roundup was they scored 8 runs in the 7th, which I thought was kind of crazy. To give up 8 runs in 1 inning in the 7th, that's just a tough break there for St. Charles East. But Lake Park putting up 8 runs in the 7th to come away with the 11-10 victory in extra innings. And just looking through some of the stat lines there, Robert Monaco, he drove in the winning run with an RBI single in the top of the 8th. But really, the guy that was doing it all week for Lake Park, and he got submitted for Player of the Week this week. I haven't given it a hard look to see who's going to win or whatnot, but Gavin O'Neill, he's a senior with some big tools. He went 4 for 4 in that game, and he's committed to Harper Junior College.
Yeah, moving down here, I'm a little biased being a pitcher myself, so I love some good pitching stat lines. But Landon Corbin, for normal communities of 2026. He struck out 14 of the 19 batters faced, so really good outing from him. And then Lucas Grant, he's making a case for pitcher of the week here. Well, like Drew said, we really haven't looked at it too closely yet. It's Monday here, so we'll get to that after this. But he, against Naz, through 6 innings, allowed just 2 hits, didn't walk anybody, didn't allow any runs, and he struck out 15. So against that lineup, ultra impressive, and they won that game 10-0. And on the year, Grant actually has 39.2 innings with a 1.588 ERA. So really impressive stuff there. And then on May 1st, Quinn Roberts, he hit 2 home runs for numbers 20 DePaul College Prep. Just a good little game there. And then Jack Bauer, he punched out 9 in 4 innings of work on his outing that week, or that day, May 1st. So, I mean, Jack Bauer just keeps throwing strikes, man. Just keeps doing it. Like, he's the talk of the town. Everywhere you go, everyone's talking about Jack Bauer. And he just keeps doing it. He just does not walk anybody. He's throwing 102. He's throwing strikes. Like, not much else to say about that, you know?
What a stud.
Yeah.
Like, he firmly put the spotlight on himself coming out first outing of the year, topping 100, and he just keeps doing it. That is so impressive.
He, like, knew, right? I mean, he DM'd us. He's like, hey, you guys should come to my start. And we're like, yeah, we'll see. We got a lot going on right now. We'll see. And then he was pumping 100. We're like, yeah. All right, Jack. Well, noted.
And the tough thing about that was I'm pretty sure it was one of the days of the Kickoff Classic. You know, yeah, so we put a lot of our efforts in down south early in the season, seeing all of those games down there. So it is tough when you have such an awesome event like the Kickoff Classic where you're seeing 50 teams from all over. But there is a Jack Bauer up there throwing. It's like, man, I really want to see that at the same time. So luckily for us, Jack has thrown all spring long, and it just seems to continue to get more and more polished. And the velo's kind of like just been 96 to 100, and whether he touches 100 a couple times, once, but the domination has stayed the same. So awesome to see.
Well, and I mean, we've got a few weeks before we decide any of this, but like, something I brought up last week when we saw this stat line is like, dude, he's put himself firmly in the conversation for Player of the Year. Like our award we give out every year. Like, I'm about to talk about 3 guys who are firmly in that mix as well. But like, man, with his domination, and then you also factor in like the stuff he has, it's going to be a really hard decision for us, and hopefully it all sorts itself out in the next few weeks. But it's crazy.
Well, I love the conversation, and that it's like we're getting to the point of the season where we can actually have a conversation. Like, hey, here's some guys we need to, keep an eye on for that Player of the Year watch. And I love the name you have down here. Like, I don't know if I want to steal your thunder at all, but like Hayden Bernruder at Triad, he's been one of like the higher ceiling, just like on a upward trajectory for 2025s that I know of in the state. The performances we saw early in the year, and then I know Dane just continues to see him rake, and then what he does on the mound too. And those Player of the Year, it's tough to beat the guys that put up huge numbers on both sides of the ball. Which makes it really hard for a PO like a Jack Bauer or another name you have here on this list, and I'll just transition it right to you, but you got Brandon Shannon on here too.
Yeah, no, I mean, all 3 of these guys I'm about to talk about, I would think, are firmly in that mix for Player of the Year. I'll start out Connor Essenberg. I feel like this guy just does it every week. He puts himself firmly in the mix for the Player of the Week award we give out every single week, it feels like. But he went 2 for 3 with a leadoff bomb. Also hit a double, drove in 2 in a 6-3 win over conference rival Homewood Flossmoor last week. Hayden Bernruder, like Drew said, does it on both sides of the ball. Again, well, as does Essenberg, right? Both those guys seem like they do it on both sides of the ball every week. But Bernruder 3 for 3 with a homer, 3 RBI, and a 10-2 win over Jersey. And then Brandon Shannon tossed a no-hitter in McHenry's 5-1 win over Burlington Central. Actually struck out 12 of the 23 batters he faced. So I think I was just bad luck for Shannon, I guess, when I went and saw him, because it seems like every other outing he's just absolutely dominating and like not giving up a hit or not giving up a run, because I want to say this is his second or maybe even his third hitless start for McHenry. So pretty absurd there.
Well, and it's funny to hear you say that because I'm guessing when you went to watch him, I don't even have the stat line in front of him. He probably struck out like 8 to 10 guys, maybe
Like,
gave
he was
up
still
one.
really good.
Yeah,
It was
like,
just like
yeah.
he's been like Superman anytime we're not out to see him. But, seemed more human when I was out to see him, but still obviously threw the ball really well. But
The
he's
other
having a
thing
heck of a
too,
year.
like with a Brandon Shannon, with a Jack Bauer, it's like with a Connor Essenberg. Look at the competition these guys are playing too, and they're doing what they're doing. It's video game type numbers against really, really good competition. Just playing in really good leagues. Like Brandon Shannon's in one of the best leagues this spring with the Fox Valley and how good it is and how deep it is. So there's a lot of factors that go into the Player of the Year, and one of them to me is like, can you lead your team in the postseason as well? Sometimes that can be a make or break if you got two guys that are exactly the same, like who's the guy taking the ball in the biggest games can lead a team to state. So there's a lot still that remains to be decided here, but a lot of good players to choose from.
Well, and I'm glad you called out the competition part because, like, damn it, like what you were saying with Lucas Grant, what he did against Naz, like, there's a Jaden Fauske and a Landon Tomey in that lineup, and he punched out 15. Now, I don't know how many of those were Fauske or Tomey, but like still, for him to put up that stat line with two of those hitters who, regardless of class, are two of the best hitters in the entire state, in the entire country even. So that's really impressive for Lucas as well. So I just wanted to call that back as well.
Absolutely. It's a good call out.